Welcome, students, to Stampede Digital Systems cohort training for Google Analytics. My name is Troy Campbell, and I'm going to explain about Google Analytics today and analytical systems and why we use it in marketing. So I'm going to, so let's talk about one of my favorite quotes that I actually invented, which is getting results is the bravest thing you're ever going to do. People pay attention to results. They don't pay attention after a while to just noise, to flash, to smells, but if you can get results, people pay attention. But to get results, we have to practice and train. Every home run we see, it has behind it thousands and thousands of swings of the bat. And that process of getting better, we want to use analytics to do that. And so if we really want results, we need to track ourselves, measure ourselves, and go into this. So what is Google Analytics? So it is there's a lot of other different types of analytical systems, and it's just a free tool from Google that lets you install a bit of JavaScript on your site. And it's going to really unearth a treasure trove of information about your visitors. So what happens is the script is tracking when people visit your website, and it monitors those visits, and then it sends that data back to Google, where it's processed and it's put into graphs and other visualizations. And that allows you to see exactly who's coming to your site and what they're doing. So that's what we're doing this for. We want to see what is happening so we can measure and understand. There's a science and an art, in my opinion, to marketing. And the science comes in because whenever we look at numbers, we can see patterns in them. And that helps us make better decisions. But the art is that marketing, we're interfacing with humans, and there's qualities in there and mysteries and why people do what they do, and their needs and their hopes and their dreams. And that's where this art comes in, where you have to balance between the two. And so Google Analytics will help us get a lot of that quantitative so we can improve our qualitative measurements. So what we want to do is we want to just think first about what analytics is. And analytics, as I put here, it's just the process of measuring what's happening. We want to measure our performance, and then we want to optimize it. So think of this as you're developing your marketing systems and you're working to build that marketing department in your business. You're setting up systems and ways to track and optimize things. So I always say, if you're building a system, start simple and then add on to it. That's how you get to a complex system. It's just a complex system is a collection of small systems, and integrating those small systems is the key. So what we want to do today is just talk about, let's just get at Google Analytics on our site and understand a little bit what that is. So basically the process that analytics uses is you first perform whatever measurement you're trying to do. You apply an analysis on it. You learn from what you see, and then you take action. So content creation is very much similar to this. Bill Gates, 1999, said content is king. But really what we're doing is we have a conversation. So it's really a conversation as king when we're doing content marketing. Because what we have to do is we have to say something and then listen to feedback. And that conversation is how we improve. I think we're all familiar with certain industries, certain media companies that are having some challenges because they were saying certain things that their audience didn't really jive with. And so there's this feedback, and that conversation is, we can measure and track that. That's the exciting part, and we can get better at it. So that's sort of the process, pretty simple if you really think about it. So let's talk about some of these key definitions. This is your vocabulary list to what all of this is. So think of and this is if you're going into Google Analytics, and I'm going to share some slides with you in a minute what that looks like. But the metrics is really that quantitative numbers. It's that measuring the data. There's counts, there's ratios, percentages. There's different things we want to look at. Now, let me do a little bit of caveat with all of this. This may seem a little overwhelming, but really, there's only about 5 or 6 good things you want to measure at most small business level, right? The deep measuring, the deep things is when you have a very large systems and you have to figure out attributions and what's going on. Again, we start simple and we build. So don't think that what I'm going to be teaching you is how to like a master's course of how to run all of these analytical systems, because 99% of the complexity we don't need at a small business level. And that's what this course is for those who are really trying to seek out and figure out how this works. So the first one in Google Analytics, they call it metrics, and that's just quantum. Then they have the dimensions, that's quality. And again, and so what they do is they have segments and breakouts. And again, I'm going to show you that in a second. Another vocabulary word that you'll hear is page views. So a page view is just a view of a visitor comes to your site. That's one page view, right? Now that viewer might do several actions on your page. So in Google Analytics, that's called a page tracking or a hit. And there's several types of hits. There's page tracking hits. There's event tracking hits. There's e-commerce hits. And so obviously page view, page tracking hit is pretty much the same thing, right? Event tracking, what are they clicking on? What buttons are they choosing? What pages are they going to? How are they scrolling through? And then what's happening with your e-commerce? Are they adding things to your cart? Are they looking at, if you have a section that says you may be interested in if they're purchasing one thing, what are they doing? Are they bundling things? All of those things are trackable, and you can even set goals around these. So and so what that's called, all of those different hits that are occurring that one user might do, is that's called a session, right? And that's that group of hits. And so you're measuring, so the page view or the page tracking hit is when they first come, and now you're measuring them, all the different things they're doing. That's one session. And so how many sessions a month are occurring on your website, and what are they doing on there? You might think that you've got some pretty amazing products, amazing things to offer, and no one's going there. And why? What's happening? Why aren't people staying on your page and being led to the information, the products, the service, the entertainment, whatever it is that you would like to offer them and have them interact with? So obviously an exit is simply an exit. And so then we segment people in different groups. And so some people, obviously age, we might segment with that. But each person is a user, okay? And so a user is identified by the client ID, and they're stored in browser cookies. And I know we all hate to get tracked, but then we also hate advertising that doesn't apply to us. And so some of the advertising that we get, we actually really love. There's this back and forth between being surveilled and giving our information, our right to privacy. All that stuff still has to be worked out. But for right now, and you can clear your cache and cookies whenever, but right now, most of us accept having those cookies tracking us because it lets us be found by people, especially small business, who could bring us valuable services and valuable products and even valuable information. So that is the upside to all of this, okay? So what we're trying to get is not just people visiting, not having a session, we're trying to get a conversion. And so a conversion can be a lot of things. A lot of people think, well, a phone call, right? That could be a conversion. They call our shop. They look for directions if they're on mobile. They're looking for directions for our place. Another one could be that they're obviously buying something off us, setting an appointment, filling out a form, sometimes clicking a button, downloading an ebook. All of these are different conversions that we are trying to get them. And inside Google, and Google's tracking all this, by the way. We get to tell Google what we want tracked. But that's how it is. And so we can set up goals. And these goals, we can now start optimizing towards those goals. And this is a little bit higher end on it. Most people who are starting out, their goals are going to be very rudimentary, but that's okay. We start somewhere, start simple and build complex. It's the best way to run your analytics. Don't go overboard with analyzing everything, analyzing some key metrics. Okay. So the next one is, I talked about users already. The next one is the source or medium. So where is our traffic coming from? Because we need to know this. Is, for example, is Facebook sending us a bunch of traffic? What are we doing right? We want to be getting ads, but we're running some Google ads, but no one's coming from them. What are we doing wrong? We need to understand the source of or the medium to which someone's coming to our site. Are they coming from Reddit? Are they coming from Quora? Are they coming from TikTok? Are they coming from Twitter? Are they coming from Google, Bing, Yahoo? You know, what is it, a search engine? Or are they coming from the rankings? These are all different places, third-party affiliates. So this is what we want to do. And the next one is attribution. Now, attribution, this is an amazing one if you think about it. When you have one campaign going, like a lot of our clients start off with just one ad campaign, and it's pretty simple to understand how to attribute the sales you're getting from that one campaign, because you weren't doing the campaign, now you are, now your sales have increased. Makes sense. What happens when you have 20 campaigns going? Which ones are doing well and which ones aren't? You need to have a way to attribute the success you're getting to specific campaigns. Not only that, imagine that the place where the sale occurs is on is like on a mobile device. And so you're sending out, let's say, catalogs in the mail, and then you're sending out emails, and then you're sending out content on the web, and then you're doing ads. And all through that's driving them to that mobile device to make the buy, to get your conversion. So where do you attribute the success? Because if you were just analyzing your mobile data, you'd say, well, we got to just do more mobile marketing because this is where all our sales are. But the only reason they're there, maybe because the catalog that you sent out, and maybe because your website. How do you attribute to that sale what's happening? And that's where attribution comes in. Again, it gets more complicated the more you go, but if you understand at the very beginning that as you're building your marketing systems and as you're developing, what we're trying to do is come up with a coherent way to step-by-step systematize it and integrate it so that you have the data that you need. All right, I hope I didn't go too into that. So let's just review a little bit. So here's how it basically works. You set up your Google Analytics account, which is free. You get that global site tag JavaScript tracking code. And this was more in the day of Universal Analytics. which we're now by July 31st of 2023, we're all supposed to be on Google GA4, which is Google Analytics 4. And so eventually, for those of you who do have a Universal Analytics account, we're going to have to move to the new one. And it will be better. There's trade-offs, of course, and it won't be perfect when Google unrolls it in July, but it will get better and better. All right. So you insert those codes, the scripting on your website. Now the visitor visits, they get a cookie that tracks them, and then that tracker then reports back to Google. That's how it works. And so this is what Universal Analytics looks like. So there's the UA, this is UA code. All right, so let's get into Google Analytics itself, and let me show you a little bit of, well, before I do that, let's talk about cookies. And, oh, actually, yeah, I think I talked about cookies. Just a text document that tracks, that's it. Okay, and that's what Google is tracking. So, okay, so let's get in and let's talk about the different reporting views that you can get. So when you get into your Google account, you're going to see some views, and these are the different views that you're going to be using to see what's happening. And so it's pretty nice that they have 5 different views. Now, for most small business, the view, the real-time view, is going to be less important. And the reason real-time view is that's what's actually happening right now on your website. Unless you have a ton of traffic happening, which we see small businesses all the time, it hits them. They go on TikTok, they go somewhere, they get a viral campaign, and suddenly now they have a lot of traffic. That's when real time happens. Most of our small business clients, they don't start off looking at real time data. But it's there, it's being tracked. What is happening in real time on your website, Google's going to tell you. Okay. So, so I just wanted to go into kind of the next one, and that's, let me see. I wanted to go into audience. Yeah. Okay. So audience, however, is where I would like you to when you get things set up, this is a view that I'd like you to monitor and look at. Because one of the things that we teach in our cohorts and our training is that the audience is, right, let's say Bill Gates said that, like I mentioned earlier in 1999, that content is king. But I say that audience is queen, and if the queen ain't happy, the king has no kingdom. We have to always serve our customers, bring them value. That's what marketing should do. We want to bring those valuable services, those resources, those tools to people who need our services and will benefit from them. So the better we understand our audience, the better messages we can create. In this part in Google Analytics, or in their other analytical systems, will help us get there. All right. It will, how it's going to be looking for age, it's going to be looking for income, where they live, all of these things that make up, let's say we thought we were supposed to be marketing to men, and it turns out 90% of the women are buying. Suddenly now we need to update who we think our audience is, maybe research it. That's one of the things I love about analytics, is that we have our gut instincts as entrepreneurs on who our market is. And then we begin to market, and then we get this feedback and we get to update that and say, oh, you know what? I was off a little bit. So, all right. Fail, I always say fail faster to succeed sooner. Okay. So the acquisition, again, shows where people are coming from. We're all over the world. I really love this one, especially once we start helping our clients write blogs and articles. Because people will find those blogs and then be led right back to your site. So we love acquisition overview. I think I like audience more at this point. And then there's behavior. This is my other favorite one for new entrepreneurs. Because now this is tracking what actually they're doing. So I kind of mentioned before that there's this analytical system that is tracking everything. Well, this is how they do it. This is what those Google servers are looking at and building those graphs and giving you the data back. And it's those 5 areas what they're doing it. So now we start to understand their behavior, and now we can make decisions based off that. So so finally we have conversions. And this is where results are at, because all of the rest of them we're optimizing, tracking, optimizing so that we can get a conversion. If we're not getting a conversion, then we go out of business, right? So this is what I think is like the finale of everything we're doing. And so there's 3 parts here on that the conversions tab. This is where we can set up goals and track. This is where we can even set up different e-commerce events and e-commerce visions. And this is where we're going to integrate our multi-channel funnels. So those are the different 3 pieces when you go into that conversions tab. All right. So Google Analytics, or some analytical system, because it doesn't have to be Google, is necessary for every digital marketer. It's part of the framework with how you do business. You must have it so that you can track it and follow it. I love it because at the end of the day, for me, marketing is sort of like your arm. It's the thing that reaches out. And at the end of that reach, you have your hand. And this is where conversion happens. This is where connection between your services, your products meets a real person, and it affects their life and changes them. Even if your product was, let's say, a pet rock, the delight that person has in that pet rock, the playing with it, if it's a little child, having it at your office and having people joke and laugh, there's a real human connection, even in the simplest of products, that your product or service can bring to people. And marketing is the way you reach that. And the best way you can do that is, yes, have the art, but also measure it with science. And Google Analytics is part of that analytical process. Thank you.